As a Monster Hunter content creator, a question that I receive quite often is, Rurikhan, if you could design any weapon to be implemented into the world of Monster Hunter, what would that weapon be? This is a question that I've answered multiple times on stream, even if I don't think I've ever really done a dedicated video for it. And the answer is pretty much always the same. My answer has always been the magnetic hammer. And let me explain to you guys how the magnetic hammer would work, because this is something that I feel would make sense in the world of Monster Hunter, particularly if you take into consideration Monster Hunter Frontier, which already has a weapon called the magnetic spike, and kind of has, I believe, some moves that are similar to the things that I'm suggesting with the magnetic hammer, which is a playstyle that I personally think I would find very interesting, because of course if I'm designing my own weapon, it would be a weapon that I would like to wield myself, and it would have a playstyle that would be very much suitable to me. And some of you might be wondering, well, Rurikhan, you're a Gunlance main, what type of playstyle would you actually want out of a magnetic hammer, whatever that happens to be? Well, let me explain to you. I'm going to give you guys a couple of details as to how this weapon would work in my world, even though the footage that you'll be seeing in the video is going to mostly be unrelated. It's going to be me playing Gunlance with some Anomaly monster, because I'm still grinding Anomaly, trying to get to 120. But, so the way that my weapon would work is it would be a hammer, because, as you guys know, I like playing tanks and MMOs, and when it comes to weapons, I don't really tend to go for swords all that much. I'm much more of an axe and hammer guy myself, in case you're curious, even though you look at Monster Hunter and you're like, but you're playing Gunlance. Like, yeah, because it's got explosions, and I like explosions as well, right? Who doesn't like explosions? Let's be real here, right? Explosions are cool. Also, it has a big-ass shield, which is another thing that I really like. You might be familiar with it because, you know, my sentence is like, shields up, Iron Breakers, right? That's the way it goes. So my weapon, which is the magnetic hammer, would actually be, imagine a shield, and in the shield, it would be like a very thick shield, and they would have like an embed for a hammer. Think like a small warhammer, but with a big block, right, that you would like bash on a monster's head. So the idea is that as you are doing regular attacks, your weapon would be a hammer and a shield, right? But this is the magnetic hammer, so naturally it would have to have some kind of like magnetic attack. So my idea was you'd be able to throw the weapon at the monster, and it would be attached to the monster. Like maybe you can have a spike at the end of the hammer or something that would allow the hammer to basically be stuck to the monster, very much in the same way that we already have things that get stuck on monsters, like you have sticky bombs, you have worm stakes, and I'm sure there are other things that can get stuck onto the monster, maybe some arrow or something like that, right? So the idea is you would throw the hammer, it would be stuck on the monster, and then the way that the magnetic portion of it would work is you would be able to use the shield to propel yourself towards the monster, and then, you know, with the momentum that you get from that, you can do like a shield slam type attack on the monster as you get there. Or you could, you know, recall the hammer back towards your shield to be able to continue attacking, and you could just like kind of like throw the hammer, bring it back for your shield. And I know that some of you guys are going to say, it's kind of like Thor, Rurikhan, and it's not, because it's using magnets. It's not using, like, you know, the power of the God of Thunder or whatever. So it kind of makes sense from a Monster Hunter standpoint. This has always been my answer. And another addition that I've added to it over the years is that, you know, as you would throw the hammer, because it is a magnetic hammer, you'd be able to detonate the hammer. You'd be able to make it explode, almost like a shrapnel grenade, right? And it would explode, and it would send like shrapnel, and then it would reform because it is magnetic. This is an idea that I've had, and I've talked about this often throughout multiple live streams. Like, you can find this across many of my live streams whenever people ask me this question. As a matter of fact, the reason I became aware of the clip that I'm going to be showing you guys in just a couple of seconds is because Ayoni, I believe, in my chat earlier this morning during a live stream, actually told me, Rurikhan, how do you feel about Marvel stealing your Monster Hunter weapon idea? And I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Because I had no idea what he was talking about. Now, one of the things that you need to understand about me is that whenever it comes to free time, I'm mostly dedicated to two things, right? Friends and family and video games. That's like my free time. So I don't really spend too much free time watching shows or watching movies or anything like that, unless it's something very exceptional, like For instance, this year, the most exceptional thing that I've seen at the movies was Top Gun Maverick. Freaking fantastic movie. I loved it. Thought it was amazing. As a matter of fact, it was one of the few movies that I actually went and I watched twice. I watched it once, and then I went back with my wife and watched it again because she also liked it a lot. So, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, so I don't spend a lot of time watching stuff, so I don't really watch that many trailers and whatnot. But Aoni sent me this trailer of, I believe it is Thor, is it Blood and Thunder? Something, Love and Thunder. I think it's Love and Thunder, right? Thor Love and Thunder, which is a movie that came out this year, I believe. And this is something that I had never seen before, so let me just go ahead and show you this clip, and then we'll talk about it. Now, is that not exactly what I described in my idea right there? The difference is that my idea was like, first you throw it and then it hits something, because, you know, when you're talking about Monster Hunter, you're usually talking about like one-on-one combat, you versus one monster, maybe you versus two monsters, something like that. So my idea would be the hammer would actually stick on its target and then explode with shrapnel, and then it would reform and get brought back to me, right? And what they did there is they basically exploded Mjolnir and spread the shrapnel as an AoE blast to destroy everything along the way, and then it kind of like reformed. But it's exactly like I described it in my idea, and I was like, bro, what is this? So in a way, back then, when I talked about this like in 2018, obviously people like Kegger and other people are just like, Rurikhan, you just want to be Thor. You just want to be Thor, because I was like, you know, I like the idea of throwing the hammer, bringing it back, using the shield, magnetic powers, all of this. I think that's cool. But now, I actually looked this up before I recorded this video. Here's how like in-depth I was into this, because I'm not a comic buff. So I'm actually curious if some of you guys out there are like massive Thor fans. Please let me know in the comment section if there's ever been an instance where Mjolnir kind of like is shattered as an offensive attack and then reforms itself, right? Because I know that Mjolnir has been destroyed multiple times in several occurrences, I believe, in the comics. Because I was actually looking up like the Marvel fandom Wikia article for Mjolnir, and I was looking up like all of the different instances of Mjolnir, of all of the different multiverses and all of the different Earths and whatnot. And I kept looking like, is there one of these versions of Mjolnir that does this attack where it shatters and then, you know, like a shrapnel grenade, and then it reforms itself? And I couldn't find a single one. So let me know, again, because like I said, I'm not a comics buff. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's, you know, somewhere where this happens in canon Marvel lore. But this movie was the first, this trailer even was the first time where I saw it. And I was like, bro, that's my idea for a Monster Hunter weapon. How dare you, Marvel? How dare you? But anyway, of course, this is just something that, in a way, it kind of makes sense, because it was Mjolnir was basically destroyed, and was it Thor Ragnarok? I forget which movie it was, but it was destroyed in one of the Thor movies. So it makes sense that now that they're reintroducing it into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that it kind of shows up, not shredded, but it shows up like shattered, and it kind of like shatters and does the special attack. So I'm not actually saying that they stole my idea, but it does make for a good clickbait title, doesn't it? And it kind of gave me an excuse to also talk about what my weapon design would be for Monster Hunter in a separate video. So hopefully you guys still enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it. Do you think that Marvel stole my idea? I kind of feel like they did, because I've never really seen an attack like that from Mjolnir, and I think it looks pretty friggin' badass. Yeah, just let me know what you guys thought of the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.